everyone, Kareem right here. Today we got Matt on with us. Matt, can you please introduce yourself to our viewers, please?
Yeah, thanks, Kareem. My name is Matt Baehr. I'm the host of the Discover College Soccer podcast. So we interview college coaches, men's, women's, every division, and really the whole idea is to try to help players, parents, learn about the recruiting process, because I know it can be confusing. It's constant, ever-changing landscape, but also to learn about some schools that they may not know about, right? Everybody kind of knows the top 25, the UCLA, Stanfords of the world, but, there's over 1,200 programs in the men's side, over 1,500 programs women's side that, folks aren't familiar with. So we're just trying to help expose them to those programs, help the programs get exposed to players, and try to make matches like that.
So can you just take us back in time a little bit and share how you got involved in a part of the beautiful game?
Yeah, sure. So like most, I started playing maybe kindergarten, first grade, and really enjoyed it. Went through travel and high school ranks back when high school soccer actually was a thing before the DA kind of killed everybody's high school playing aspirations. But ended up playing Division III at Catholic University in DC, which was awesome. And kind of in that really fell in love with coaching as well. So I helped coach a local Northern Virginia high school. We were lucky enough to have a really good team and won Virginia State's, I think it was back in 2001 time frame, but we had two future national team players on that squad. So that was really good. And then got into camps, coaching a lot of camps, and after college, I was just kind of playing men's leagues and stuff, but then went and got a master's in business administration and a master's in sports administration at Ohio University, which is actually where Bob Bradley went, the old former men's national team coach. And then after that, my first job out of grad school was coaching a Division II school in Indiana. So I was college coach for a couple years. I've been head of a fairly large club in Northern Virginia, and then ended up at IMG Academy as the program manager for soccer there for several years. And I still live in Bradenton, but now I just run this podcast, have a regular Joe job during the day, but help our Braden River Soccer Club in Bradenton as a board member and help coach there sometimes too. So
awesome. Why coaching? Why not scouting or being an agent, so on and so forth? Why did you choose coaching?
It's funny because I thought about kind of the agent side of things when I was in grad school, but I come from a family of teachers, and then my wife, her family was teachers as well, and just kind of had really appreciated good coaching when I was there or when I was playing, and wanted to help share that. Really enjoyed helping see a kid kind of progress and develop a player and see that confidence instilled in them. The agent side it's a brutal business to be in. It would have been probably a lot of fun, but I think things like this, just seeing people I haven't seen in 20 years. It's been a few years since I've been to the convention, so it's been nice to run into people that you've met along the way, and I don't know. Coaching is just a great way to give back, but also really stay involved in the game and be on the field and kind of see what the next evolution of the game is, and I enjoy being a part of that.
Absolutely. You mentioned how it's an ever-changing landscape. Why is that? To me, as an outsider, I don't understand the landscape in order to get into college or university. But why is it always changing?
Well, and I guess it's not so much that the colleges themselves are changing or the way they recruit necessarily is changing, but you have things like NIL, right? Name, image, and likeness now coming into play. So now schools have money they might be able to offer, which is for football, basketball can be in the millions. It's not quite there yet for soccer, but that has changed. And then you have the biggest change really is what everybody likes to refer to as the alphabet soup of all the leagues, right? You had the Development Academy, and then ECNL, and then the DA goes away, ECNL gets bigger, and then you add the Girls Academy in the mix, and then MLS Next kind of replaces the Development Academy. So you have all these leagues changing, and then U.S. Youth Soccer coming in with National League, and now E64. I mean, everybody keeps trying to create the next best league for whatever reason. And what really that's done is on the college landscape for recruiting purposes, it's kind of divided where folks can spend their time. You know, college budgets tend to be limited in most places, so they can't go to every tournament to recruit players and see players in person. So now they try to maximize their dollar, right, and get the most value out of what they're spending in recruiting. So that means going to these bigger national tournaments, which has led to so many people really wanting to play in MLS Next or ECNL or these big leagues, because they know those tournaments are where the college coaches end up going. But on the flip side, then you have the smaller schools who go, well, I know I'm not going to be able to compete with the Stanfords and UCLAs and Indianas of the world, so maybe they're going to some of these smaller other tournaments and other leagues. So it's just, and that's kind of what I mean by ever changing with the league structure and the tournaments and where kids are getting seen.
Absolutely. Do you only focus on college?
Yeah, right now, really the focus of the podcast is interviewing college coaches. We interview some folks that are kind of what I would say tangential to the college recruiting experience. So folks who might help with highlight videos, or, you know, some of the vendors here, the exhibitors here at the convention, like maybe a VO or a Pixelot or Trace, like the cameras that capture video, because you need video really to help with your recruiting efforts. But mostly our podcasts are with college coaches, because I, you know, as a college coach who coached a small school nobody never heard of, you know, it really, I would have loved to have some sort of platform to help market my program, right? But also, I think it's really important for parents and players to hear directly from a coach about their school, but B, about the recruiting process, because I think there's a lot of information that floats around social media that may or not be good information. So it's best, in my opinion, to hear directly from a college coach to know, you know, what's legit, what are they really looking at, what's really important to them as a coach, instead of just what somebody at your club might have told you at the concession stand.
Yeah. No, I think that's very valuable and very important, right? Parents need to know the facts, and players need to know the facts in order to get where they want to go. With saying that, is it just college, or is it college and university only?
It's college university. We've interviewed both men's and women's coaches, junior college, NAIA, Division 1, 2, and 3. We've got a good mix of all schools on the podcast. One of the other things that's on our website right now, free and available to anybody, is we have a camp directory. So we've put it out to all the colleges and universities. If you're having ID camps, list them on our website for free so that people can search and find them, because camps is becoming a very, very big part of the college recruiting process these days. So you can check that out at discovercollegesoccer.com/camps to see what that's like. And we're trying to add to those as much as we can.
Absolutely. You know, back in the day, you know, I'm 22. So when I was 18, 4 years ago, you know, when I was thinking about school, even though I didn't go, I was thinking scholarship, right? Because scholarships would be able to fund, you know, there's different type of scholarships. You know, you got the different ones that are covering half or the full or whatever the case may be. With saying that, I think that's something that parents would want to know about. You know, can you please provide some information in regards to scholarships?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's also one of the biggest, you know, misnomers out there is that, my child's going to get a full ride. Well, you know, the Division 1 and Division 2 can offer scholarships. scholarships. Division III does not, and that's by choice of the college, that they do not offer athletic scholarships. NAIA can offer athletic scholarships, so can junior colleges. Just because they can doesn't mean they do. So one of the questions I tell parents and players to ask in the recruiting process is, is a school fully funded? So what that means is that school is allowed to offer the maximum number of scholarships that their governing body allows. I mean, I can tell you from experience, I had a friend who coached at a Division II school and won the national championship, albeit 20 years ago, but they only had 4 scholarships. Now, the NCAA said they could offer a lot more than that, but their school said, you're budgeted 4. Okay, well, if the roster is 25, 30 guys, you have the equivalent of 4 scholarships. So as you can imagine, there were a lot of people on no money and a lot of people on very little money. So that's kind of the reality. Now, one of the other questions to ask schools is, do they stack scholarships? Some colleges, and it's an internal decision by that school, but some will allow you to stack academic money on top of athletic money and other money, and some don't. So you might get a half scholarship, let's say, in athletic money and a half scholarship in academic money. Well, at a school that stacks, it means you have a full ride. At a school that doesn't stack, it means you pick academic or athletic, and in which case I'm sure the coach is going to tell you, take the academic money so I can use the athletic money on somebody who's not as smart as you. And that's one of the things that, I've done over 100 interviews with college coaches this year, and I can tell you, for most of them, academics of the student athlete is super important because it shows, A, that they know how to work hard and study, but and will hopefully be a success at their university. But also it means hopefully they're going to get academic money that's going to make it easier for them to bring that student athlete to the school.
Understood. Makes sense. With saying that, I think I have 2 more questions. What's the most frequent question that you hear from parents? I'll ask a 2 in 1, just in case I forget. And the second one is, what patterns have you seen from interviewing college soccer coaches?
Yeah, I mean, I'll answer your second question first in terms of the patterns. I mean, I've almost stopped asking this question during my interviews just because everybody kind of answered it the same way. And it is, whenever you're communicating with a college coach, do not send a blast generic email. It just becomes very obvious to that coach that you have not spent the time or effort to research them, to really learn about them as a coach, them as a school, them as a team, and that is an immediate turnoff for a coach in the recruiting process. So take the time to take one email at a time, make sure it's personal to that coach, to that school, to that team, do your research. That would be my first kind of problem that you see, but also piece of advice. And in terms of the biggest question that I think I've seen, it's probably around, do I need to play at MLS Next or an ECL team to get recruited in college? And because these parents have heard how that's where the coaches tend to be at showcases. And again, the answer to that is no. Does it help? Yes, but the one thing that you'll hear from these coaches is if they're at, the ECNL girls event in Florida just ended 2 days ago, 3 miles from my house in Bradenton, right? So there were a couple hundred, I think, college coaches in attendance to watch games. Now, if you hadn't emailed a coach ahead of time and been in communication with them and told them, hey, coach, I'm interested in your school and I'm on field 10 at 3 o'clock, come see me play, I'll be number 6, we're wearing white, coaches aren't at those tournaments just randomly watching games, randomly seeing players. That's not how it works. So now you might get lucky and a coach who's watching a game that you're in and you just ball out and they go, oh, I wonder who that is. I mean, but that's an exception, not a rule, right? That's not how it usually happens. So folks shouldn't get, thinking that, oh, I need to be at these tournaments because some some coach is going to quote unquote discover me. No, you got to put in the work ahead of time and make sure you're on that coach's radar. Have those conversations with coaches to make sure they do show up to your game and see you play and are interested in that way.
Got it. Yeah, those are great points. Very specific in regards to the information that you just shared and what the player has to do in regards to contacting the college coach. With saying that, what was the reason? Well, actually, sorry, you mentioned IMG. How did you get into IMG, and how was your experience at IMG? Please share.
Yeah, well, I mean, like most of this soccer world, it's a small one. It's the most of the world they say is 6 degrees of separation. I think soccer is maybe 2.5 at best. So I had a good friend of mine from coaching camps and things back in the day was a goalkeeper coach at IMG, and a position opened up, and he called me up and said, "All right, Matt, we need you to come down here. We need somebody who knows soccer but knows business." And so I wasn't coaching while I was at IMG. I was on more the business side, operational side, but part of my job was running the tournaments, IMG Cup and stuff that folks may be familiar with, as well as getting a lot of pro teams to train and do preseason at IMG. So we grew our team business a lot while I was there. We used to have a lot of the MLS folks down there, and then some of the foreign teams. We actually had Brentford one summer before. I think they were still in League Two at the time, before they made it to the Premier League, which was really cool. And it was a great experience. I got to travel to different countries and see a lot of different players. And I'll say, and the growth that IMG has had over the last 10 years in terms of their facilities and what they've built, it is, I always described it as the Disneyland for athletes, and that is for sure. There's no place like it. I know they're here exhibiting. Some of my buddies that are still there are going to be here this weekend, which is nice because even though they're down the road from me, I don't see them as often as I'd like. But it's a cool place. If you haven't been, it's worth a visit. And of course the beach is 5 miles away, so it gives you an excuse to at least go to the beach, or vice versa. If you were at the beach, come see IMG. But it was fun. I was there for 3 years, but it was time for me to do some other stuff, which was which was good for me and for my family. But still enjoyed my time there. It's a very amazing spot.
Amazing, yeah. Why did you start Discover College Soccer? Why did you start the company? Like I said, I'm at my club. At my daughter, I have 2 kids that play, and at their club, I'm on the board and kind of was helping with the college placement process and helping to educate the parents in the club and the players in the club about college soccer. As a former college player and college coach, I had some experience and obviously my IMG experience will kind of help with that. And also because I looked at my daughter's team and I know there's a good handful of girls, if they want to play in college, could. Now, again, things may change, but as it stands, they're probably not going to play at Florida State, or a top 5 Division I program. But if they wanted to play Division II, Division III, NAIA, they absolutely could. But one of the weird things is there's not a single Division III school in the state of Florida, which most people are like, what? No. Well, if you look at it, there isn't. So if you're looking for that Division III model where it's academics before athletics, but still really good competition, you'll have to leave the state of Florida. But if you've got kids and families who really aren't familiar with colleges outside of the state of Florida, how are they going to learn about them? So my thought was, well, I might as well just ask coaches to jump on for 30 minutes and talk about their programs. And, Division I and Division II have rules where coaches really can't talk to players until the June 15th after their sophomore year. Well, if you're a freshman or a sophomore and you want to learn about a school, or you're trying to narrow down your choices and get focused with your recruiting, well, if you can't talk to the coach, how do you, what's a good way to help you kind of do that? So I'm like, well, if there's an interview online, boom, that's your research, right? So I figured I might as well be that guy. As a former Division II college coach, I can help folks kind of get that inside information and make it useful to both parents, players, but also useful to the coaches who want to promote their programs. Got it. I really like that. That's basically what we're doing at One Soccer Nation, but on like the pro side of things, I honestly don't really know too much on the college side of things. I would really rely on you, to be honest. I got to check this out, guys.